guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about real estate. Why? That has nothing to do with cars, but what it does have a lot to do with is investing. So being the Financial Advisor Car Guy, we don't always have to talk about cars. And so this week we are going to talk about real estate, and the reason for that is twofold. Interest rates are a big part of the way property value moves. And while it doesn't seem intuitive, it is, because realistically, as interest rates drop and as money gets cheaper to borrow, the value of homes, businesses, commercial real estate, all that type of stuff tends to go up in price. And it has everything to do with buying power. And so as we've seen the last couple of years, the real estate market is kind of, I would say, plateaued and then even tapered off with real estate or with rates going up as high as they have. So it's not cheap to borrow money anymore. And if I was going to go buy a new house today, depending on my credit, I'm probably going to pay somewhere between 6 and 8% on a loan. Now, that's not the case. I'm not looking to buy another house or anything, but the house that I'm in today, my interest rate's around 3%. So I pay very little money on my mortgage in interest. So what that means is I can put more money towards the principal, meaning I can buy more house. And so that's kind of the way the real estate market works in a real quick nutshell. Now, commercial properties are kind of the same thing. However, when you're buying a commercial property, a lot of different factors go into play, because realistically, you want to make sure that if you have a renter in there or multiple renters in there, not only do they cover the cost of your mortgage, but they also need to cover routine maintenance, upkeep, property taxes, your insurances, and all that stuff. And so you want a net positive every month or every year, and you want a full occupancy rate and all those things. And so there's more to consider when it comes to, I would say just commercial property in general, not just strip malls, not just office buildings, things like that. And the same goes for rental properties. From a house standpoint, you definitely want to make sure that it's covering your mortgage. You need to have renters in there that are going to be paying a fair market value for rent. That needs to be enough to not only cover the mortgage, but also, again, the property taxes, the insurances, upkeep, maintenance, repairs, upgrades, all those things. And so when interest rates are high, we see houses don't turn over quite as rapidly. People aren't buying new homes as regularly or as fast as maybe they would have when rates were low. So again, I have very little incentive to sell the house I'm in now, being that I'm paying 3% on my rate. If I were to sell this house, sure, I'd have some equity and I'd be able to roll that into the next property, but the money I'd have to borrow, again, would be somewhere in the 6.5%, 7% range, maybe 8% or whatever if I have poor credit. And so, thinking about diversifying, right? So the real estate market has, again, it hasn't really dipped that much. It's maybe dipped some, and it's more than anything just plateaued. But real estate is one investment that over time and time again, we go through recessions, depressions, you name it, property just continues to go up in value. And people have to live someplace. So if it's not your primary residence, maybe it's a rental property. If it's not your primary business, maybe it's a business that you rent out or lease to. Property continues to go up in value. And so when I'm working with my clients and we talk about how to diversify your portfolio, real estate tends to be a big piece of that. And while I don't necessarily work directly with real estate, I have a network of realtors and mortgage lenders and people that I like to use and refer to and bounce ideas off of, so that when a client comes to me and says, hey, Josh, I'm inheriting this portfolio of stock from my parents or my parent who died. I also get their house. We talk about how to plan for that. Do we liquidate the house? Do we not? Do we rent it out? Do we not? Do we, sell stock to pay off the house if there's still a debt against it, or do we not? There's a million different ways to do it. And that's where I lean really heavily on external factors, external people and references and referrals, because I don't know everything there is to know about real estate. And so, I do believe it's a good investment. I do believe it's important to remain diversified. Not all of my money is in the market. That's what I do for a living as I work with the stock market. I use stocks and mutual funds and money markets and all sorts of things. But I also have a rental property and it generates an income for me. And so those are the kind of things that we want to talk about here on this page. I know we talk mostly about cars and different things about cars, but this week I thought I'd switch it up a little bit. Kind of the reason for that is both my wife and I are business owners. And both of us are in leases for our own buildings. We both have office space that we lease, and we have gone around in circles time and time again as to, does it make sense to own the building that we're in, or does it make sense to continue to lease? And at the end of the day, renting to stay in the office space that I'm in, I'm just paying somebody else's mortgage. And so we've been on the hunt for maybe a commercial building to buy, and maybe both my wife and my business move into the same building. Maybe we're neighbors, maybe, whatever. And we own the building. That gives us some rent control. That also, we're not going to evict ourselves. It gives us an exit strategy though, because if we decide to retire someday, we can either keep the building and sublet it to somebody else and then have a residual income from that. Or, we could sell the building when we retire, and now we've got a chunk of money that, all that equity that we've built up that really our businesses have paid for. So it's kind of a win-win. I mean, it's 100% a win-win. It's just finding the right piece of real estate in the right part of town for the right price that can accommodate us appropriately. And that's kind of what sparred today's conversation on, was just that's a conversation that she and I have been having. It's a conversation that has to happen every once in a while, because again, we both lease and we do have to renew our leases every so often. And so every time that happens, it kind of sparks this conversation all over again of, really in a perfect world, we own our building. And so that's it. It's just the simple concept of lease to own, or lease versus owning, renting versus owning. Interest rates do impact a lot of that. And, I guess as an investment property owner, it's one of those things where if you've got a really high interest rate, you've got to charge more rent to cover that. And if you've got a really low interest rate, you don't necessarily have to. And when it comes to owning the building that your business operates out of, if you don't need a huge monthly income from rents, in theory, I can own the building, I can lease it to myself at cost. Now, my business is going to pay the mortgage. So personally, I'm just growing my equity. But at the same time, I'm doing it in the best interest of my business to be profitable, because now I'm not charging myself an exorbitant amount of rent. And, again, rent control and things like that are really, really important. And so if any of this stuff raises questions in your world, if you've got concerns about this stuff, or you want to go down a rabbit hole and ask some specific questions, comment down below, reach out. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to go through that process with you, answer those questions, kind of see what it takes for you to become, diversified into real estate. If that's something that you're interested in doing, I'm here to be a resource. Anytime, reach out, whether it's, again, through YouTube, find me on social media, send me a message. Happy to answer questions. But that is all I've got for you guys this week. If you like this stuff, please don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. But also like and subscribe, comment, and share this stuff. That's how we grow the page. I really want to continue to grow. We're over 1,000 subscribers now, which is awesome. And, I think it's just been a lot of fun. It's been a great journey. Hopefully the subscriber count continues to keep growing, and I'll keep putting out content for you guys every week. So hang in there. But most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.